good for me. I am a scientist, so for me it's all about data, so I do these slides so that you can have the handouts, you can have the references, you can have all of that sort of stuff. So I will download this. The internet in our hotel where we are at the moment is absolute shit. She flew for me, by the way, I'm just saying, you know, I was not the first one. But I have a closed Facebook group where I always upload the talk handout for any talk I give anywhere, because I'm so bad at remembering to send them in to whoever organised the talks. So I always upload them there. So they're not there yet, but they will be there within a day or two. I'm going really, really fast. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Also, if you try and befriend me on Facebook, I apologise. I can't take more friends, and that's why I have a public profile now as well. Anyway, now I'm going all over the place. So my full-time role, and it has been since 2006, is actually as the research director at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic. So when I was offered that, it was actually 2 years before I graduated with my PhD. And so the first time I got the phone call and said, hey, will you take over as the research director at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic? I literally told them to F off. I'm like, no, I'm not qualified. I can't possibly do that. I haven't even got my PhD yet. And your PhD is your license, your driver's license to be able to do research. So there was no way I figured I could do that. But anyway, I ended up taking it because my PhD supervisor up and left the country. So again, my only ambition with doing the research degree, doing my PhD, was to help my professor. I thought she was such an amazing woman. She was a woman, a mother, one of those wonderful, kind-hearted, smart, intelligent women on a path, and she was studying chiropractic. So I wanted to help her out. But when she up and left the country, you can't do research unless you're actually attached to a tertiary institution. So because she was leaving the country, I'd have to give up this thing that I just started doing, this research gig, that I at this stage really, really enjoyed. I mean, we'd seen, on the computer, right in front of my face, after adjustment, changes in the central nervous system that were lasting for 20 to 30 minutes. I mean, I had goosebumps. I'm like, no one's ever seen this before. This is brand new. How the hell could I give that up, right? I was bitten by the bug. I couldn't. So the only way I could continue doing research was to take on this job. So again, following those breadcrumbs, I did take the job, and I've ended up on this path. So from someone who, again, I was so nervous before with public speaking that I literally was about to vomit in the pot plants before I went on stage. Not now, but when I started 20 years ago, I honest to God thought I was going to vomit in the pot plant before I went on stage. No one can ever tell afterwards. That's the crazy thing. You actually can fool people. You can actually do it quite well. So I highly encourage you, like Ashley was saying, just go out there and try. You'd be amazed. And I really, really love the message that's coming through today about authenticity, being truly, genuinely you. Because for the first few years that I tried to be the professional scientific presenter on stage, I screwed it up big time. Again and again and again and again, because I wasn't being me. And when I realised that if I was just myself, that was actually wonderful. And all of a sudden, all that baggage is gone, all this, slick, super professional presenters. I'm trying very hard to honour the place that we're in right now. So I'm trying to keep my language as clean as possible. Thank you for the words there. Yeah. I am known for the potty mouth Heidi that travels around the world and speaks about neuroscience. But anyway. I'm also a big believer in speaking your truth and keeping it simple. Because it's, one of the things that I learned very early on is that science is quite difficult to understand, yeah? And I know that most students would probably prefer to pick their eyeballs out with forks rather than read an actual research article. Yeah? And I get that. That's okay. So that's one of the things that we've ended up doing is I've literally put together this company, Horvick Research, and my mission is to enlighten the world about the science of chiropractic. Because most people don't want to read research. They don't, and it's not that they don't care, it's just that it's a completely different language, isn't it? Yeah. And that's what took me a long time. Again, teaching the students at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic, that's where I finally realised that, and again, I was probably trying, to be someone I wasn't, right? I was probably trying to justify why I was on the lecture in front of them and not, sitting in amongst them. You know that kind of thing? You always feel like you're faking it, at least for the first little while. I think it took me about 7 or 8 years when I was finally presenting in front of a room full of neurophysiologists, my professors, people that I could never dream of knowing as much as they know because they're that much further ahead of me, and realising I could hold my own, then I finally realised that, okay, I know enough now to be a decent presenter. Isn't that pathetic? Seriously, you don't actually need to be that knowledgeable to be a decent presenter. You need to know who you are, you need to know what your message is, and then you need to communicate it in a language that the people listening to you actually understand. But I think a lot of us, we hold ourselves back by these false beliefs about not being good enough. And having to have, well, when I am that much smarter, or when I have done that much more, or when I have graduated, or when I have my first practice, or when. But you end up living in the future and never actually living here in the present. Anyway, so the topic of today is, I don't know if you've noticed, have you guys noticed yet yourselves that these divides that happen in the profession? Because if you haven't, God knows where you've been. Anyway, this was one that I found really, really interesting, because I go to these research conferences and I would speak to these scientists, right? And they would basically say, look, the only thing that we really know is that chiropractic is good for headaches, back pain and neck pain, yeah? And then I'd go speak to all these clinicians, these practicing chiropractors, and they're saying, oh my goodness, chiropractic can just about help anybody with anything. Right, you heard that too?
Yeah.
And I was going, how on earth is this possible? Because at that stage I was a scientist, and you've got these massive fights going on in the profession. And when I came into the profession and I had my PhD, I had a foot in both camps. You can see the likeness, yes? I put a lot of time and effort into my artwork, as you can tell, right? So I had a foot in both camps. I could read the research, and it says, we're very good, but no better than any other treatment option for back pain, neck pain, and headaches. Colic, not so bad, but we'll talk more about that tomorrow for those of you who are there. But there's not a hell of a lot else that we really have shown with research that we're good at. But then, I've listened to all these chiropractors, and you can't have thousands and thousands of chiropractors just lying to you, right? Including my family, including what I'd seen myself, including, these changes that you can see in babies, in animals. Like, how on earth can this be happening? To me, there was a massive disconnect. So when we started out, so we'll fast forward a few years. At this stage, I'm practicing chiropractic, I'm raising a couple of little babies, I'm going through a divorce, having a mental breakdown, recovering again from all of that, along the whole way, teaching chiropractic, teaching neuroscience, teaching research methodology, and publishing. So we're finding quite a lot of research. And what to me is coming out of all of that is definitely bridging this gap. Because what we're seeing in the research actually explains why we can affect just about anything in the human body, but at the same time shows or explains why we can't fix everything in everyone. And probably why it's only showing up in the clinical research, because of the way they design their studies, that we are good at neck pain, back pain and headaches. So I want to share with you a little bit of the story of where we've been and the studies that we have done, and why I say these things, and then hopefully by the end of tonight, you'll have an appreciation for why it is that both these groups of people are actually telling the truth, and where hopefully we will be going in the future, if I have any say in the matter. So I'm dreaming of this happy family scenario. I may be a tad bit naive, for those of you who have been around a little while, but I still have hopes that it is possible to unite at least the bulk of the profession. I think there's a few extremists on either ends that need to be shot. That need to be, separated out from the rest of us. I think the bulk of chiropractors are actually quite sane. I think the bulk of chiropractors are really caring, loving people that truly want to make a difference to the world and to the people that they serve. And it's that bulk, if we can use our smarts and our brains, we actually have science now that explains what it is we find and the differences that are showing up within the research world. Oh, we've got both screens working. You guys have done well. We only had one screen before. Okay, so what I realised is that when I was trying to teach all of this, I wasn't getting it across to the students in a way that they understood me. I actually thank the students at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic for a lot of things, and one of those is that I've actually ended up with a language now that I can get across to most people. You know, whether they are chiropractic assistants or the public, and I've presented to, you know, just about any group you can imagine, from medical doctors to physiotherapists to, you know, neuroscientists, neurosurgeons, lay public, you know, you name it, I've presented literally this talk to them. And getting that language right has been one of the key factors, I think, in being able to do that well. Because if they don't understand you, then they're never going to listen to you anyway. And I think, therefore, it's really, really important for you chiropractors to also understand the science, but also to be able to explain it. So when I got this student feedback from the New Zealand College students, you know, that they literally couldn't understand me, some of the feedback I got was actually so bad I cried, which was pretty bad, if you read. But, you know, again, like, I'm really, really grateful for that now, because it's because of that feedback that I try every year to make it easier to understand, easy to understand, easy to understand. I consider myself a reasonably smart person, but it actually took me about 4 or 5 years before I got the language right and the students actually understood me, which was really, really cool. I could tell that they understood me because I assessed them, right? So I gave the assessment questions, and they weren't multiple choice, because I wanted to make sure these guys really, truly understood what I was telling them about. Does that make sense? But the problem was, even though they understood me, what I realised after that is that they still didn't really have a language with which they could then use this information and share it with the public. So this is why I ended up writing the book. For one, it's actually, if I let you in on a little secret there, who do you think the target audience for the book was, those of you who have read it? Has anybody actually read the book yet? Yes, wonderful, couple, yeah. Who do you think the target audience was? 8th graders, thank you. Any other options? The target audience, the people that I actually